Hello and welcome to another edition of another book review. This week I'll be reviewing Jungian Film Volume 1, edited by Christopher, I believe it's Hauke, and Ian Alister. I'll talk very briefly about the authors, go into an overview of what the book is, point out some essays that I liked, talk about things that may be difficult for some people to overcome, and then finish off with what I'll be reading for next time. Should be a pretty quick video. This book is a collection of essays written, it was published in, I think, 2001, and it is a look at film studies through a Jungian lens. The two the two editors of the work are both Jungian analysts in the UK. There's a follow-up to this, Jungian Film Volume 2, that came out, I think, 10 years later, that I unfortunately don't have a copy to share. It's the same cover, except the colors are a little bit different. And they've updated it with some new stuff. But what it is exactly that. It looks at some popular movies. It looks at some genres. It looks at just general film theory, unspecified to genre or director, and tries to use Jungian concepts to explain some of what we are seeing. And I thought it was a very interesting way to do that. It was a very interesting look at that topic. Some of the stuff that I enjoyed quite a bit. There's an essay on alchemy and Pulp Fiction. There's a whole chapter on Dark City, which is a movie that came out in, I believe it's originally Australian, came out I think in 99, right before The Matrix, and kind of clearly has a lot of impact. Those two movies are kind of oftentimes compared to each other. And then there was a chapter on the early movies of Steven Spielberg, kind of picks and choose some of them when talking about men and masculinity. And I enjoyed all those. I thought they were really interesting. This book has a chapter at the beginning that kind of answers one of the questions I had about man and his search for symbols, where it kind of goes in deeper into the difference between signs and symbols. It has a glossary at the back of the book for anybody who needs that. I found myself referring to that a couple of times. I think there's the term numinosity is a term that I think kind of comes up a few times in the Pulp Fiction essay that I was unaware of. And I'm pretty sure numinous, yeah. And so it has actually a pretty good glossary in the back if you want just like really brief descriptions of some Jungian thought. I think the glossary is actually quite good at that. If you want to just like a quick paragraph of what this means, kind of described in layman's terms. So I actually really recommend this. There's some things, it is very academic. And so if you're not used to reading about film studies or any kind of academic study, it may leave you a little cold. It was a little harder to get into. There are a lot of essays that I wasn't as aware of some of the films. There's a pretty long essay on the works of Pedro Almodovar, whose name I'm sure I also butchered, so I apologize. Whose movie I have seen recently. There's a movie, Pain and Glory, with Antonio Banderas that I liked quite a bit. But this was written in 2001, so this is really covering his earlier stuff. There's a chapter on his work. There's a chapter on noir, the noir genre, and if it is a genre, what it means as it relates to Jungian philosophy, Jungian thought. So if you can find a cheap copy of it, a used copy, there are some interesting essays in it. I recommend checking it out. There's an essay on Blade Runner that was not really one of the stronger essays for me, but if you're a fan of Blade Runner, can check that out. There's one on Field of Dreams. So, Jungian Film, Christopher Hauke, and Ian Alister. If you're all interested in kind of applying some of the concepts that were covered in the earlier videos to certain films, I think this takes a handful of them and does a pretty adequate job. The one on Pulp Fiction, like I said, I enjoyed quite a bit. It made me rethink that movie. And for next time, I'm going to be reading either Screenwriting in a Nutshell by Paul Friedman or The Purpose of the Past by Gordon Woods. I'll probably start I'll probably start on the Gordon Wood book and then go into Screenwriting in a Nutshell. I may switch it around, I'm not sure. If you have any other recommendations for any other books related to Carl Jung that are kind of similar in vein to this, where it's a bunch of different analysts and theorists kind of writing essays, please feel free to link those below. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Until next time. Also, we'll link the link below to the previous two videos I did So if you want to check those out, if you're coming in cold, you can check them out there. Until next time, bye.